crazy technical difficulties. Hey guys, Alex with Bay Cities Construction here. I'm at the 405 freeway heading over to our software retrofit. Stuck in crazy traffic. I figured I'd give you guys an update on our project, an update on the software retrofit condition at the city. We've um, we've turned in 3 new projects over to the city, and I wanted to give you kind of a little bit of feedback on what the situation is over there right now. So right now, the city of LA has not methodologies, but two different submission channels. You can see your plans traditionally, right, where it could take 31 to 35 days to get assigned to a plan checker, and then from that point, it'll take about a week for that plan checker to process the plans with the first round of corrections. And what that means, basically, they make notations about things that they're unclear about and that they want. The plans to reflect, and then basically they send you an email out to say, hey, come pick up the plans, make the corrections, and then make an appointment to see the planner once those corrections are made and get your building permits. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the building permits are running between $850 and $1,000, and it depends on how big your project is. If your project is really technical, like you need moment frames and there's several sections of the building that need to be retrofitted, you're probably looking at about $1,000 for the plan check fees. Now, they do have an express service, which shaves down about 10 days of time that the plans are sitting around in their rack before they get assigned. So that's kind of cool if you're a little bit under the gun. By the way, for those of you who don't know, if you have a building and you need to get into compliance, the minute that you turn in the plans, that we turn in the plans for you, you start on the path of compliance, right? So you have proof that you're doing something about the retrofit unit, just not blowing it off. A lot of folks that have been calling our offices have been faced with that, where they're coming in against the deadline. By the way, the deadline's this month for kind of like the next phase, so you got to start taking some action and start showing the city that you're making progress. So that's what we got on the city side. The the corrections that we're seeing are pretty minor from the city, not major, not major at all. They very seldom have to do with the actual proposed engineering retrofit. Most of it has to do with like showing on the return walls behind the retrofit, like how many openings, like how many windows and doors and stuff like that, because there's a ratio of open space versus wall space that has to be met. Uh, Other things that they're wanting to see is um, what is some so the the moment frame connections. Those are all pretty straightforward because a lot of that engineering comes from the manufacturer. By the way, I just did a blog article about Simpson versus Hardy on the moment frames, and it's going to be posted in the next couple of days. We'll make sure that we post that link to those blog articles here. I've written about 4, maybe 5 blog articles right now about software retrofit. So if you want to learn more about those, we're going to put the links below so that you guys can read that at your leisure. And they're pretty informative. The blog articles have they're all sorts of topics that are soft story related. Some of them are talk about the ordinance. Some of them talk about the various repair methodologies. We're going to be doing some review articles on the Simpson special moment frame and the yield link, which is also called the structural fuse. We're going to do a review article on that. We're going to do a review article on the Hardy frame on its own. So I did a comparison article between Hardy and between Hardy and Simpson, and now I'm going to review each one on their own merits, right? Without so much not a comparison article. There's also an article coming up that's going to be posted on how to keep your software retrofit costs down, how to save thousands. A lot of that has to do with the design. We've come across quite a few buildings that the engineers called for a moment frame and they didn't require one. Um, like you could do it another way. So I'm not of the mindset that you should not do a moment frame or do a moment frame. I think that your designer, your engineer should do a retrofit design that is appropriate and meets the guidelines of the city, and protects your building. And if it happens to be a moment frame, then so be it. If you don't need a moment frame, then you don't. So I've seen some buildings that have 4 or 5 moment frames, one on each opening, and I think that's, I just mathematically, I think that's ridiculously excessive. So anyway, like there's a lot to this, guys. If you guys are mandated to do this retrofit, you should do a little bit of research, a little bit of homework. You should have an understanding of what it's going to take to get this thing done. You should be talking to contractors. One of the biggest things, oh my God, the biggest things that I've come across over the last few weeks is property owners that are so, look, this is a lot of money and stuff. So they're so focused on what it's going to cost and choosing the contractor based on the quote that they just they're just not looking at the individual, right? I don't understand that. I mean, I understand the fact that people are cost conscious. I get that, but this is a very, very important part of that affects the value, right, of the house, of the property, of the building. And man, when you ignore the human element, the human component of this, and just focus on getting something cheap, you end up, I think, shooting yourself in the foot. And I'll tell you why. Like we get paid for what we do, obviously, right? We charge for our time, but we give our customers good advice that saves them thousands of dollars. If you don't need a moment frame, or you don't need a series of very expensive construction, then I'm going to tell you, mostly um, because it's the right thing to do, but I'm being compensated for my time. I'm not running around town giving free estimates all day. When you call me and you hire me to do a deal or to give you advice, you paid for that advice, so you deserve to get good advice. Free advice is generally speaking, it's worth what you paid for it. So just consider that. Like, the next thing is like getting your job done. When you're focused 100% on what the quote is. And by the way, 99% of all estimates for construction do not reflect the actual cost of construction. What does that mean? That means that construction is unlike any other business. You go and you buy a car from a car dealership, you go buy a box of cereal from the store. You know what that box of cereal is going to cost you. You know what that car is going to cost you, right? And if you buy the same car from place to place, you could even potentially pay the same amount of money. Construction isn't like that. Construction isn't like that. You're going to pay a price point that's in the general area of the original estimate, but it's not going to be exact. So what ends up happening is, if you focus on just the money part, then you're clouding kind of your judgment on who to pick. You should be picking on who you feel, who you think, what your gut instinct is about an individual being able to handle the job, do the job on time, being honest with you, being competent. Those are the important things. That's the things you should be looking at if you want to have a good outcome. You focus on the money part and you forget about the person part, you may get you may spend way more money. The project could be a disaster, and things may not turn out so well overall. You could end up hating the whole process. That person could end up pissing off all of your tenants because they're not mindful of them, they're not done on time, and all that other crazy stuff. So, of course, you've never heard that happening in construction before. Anyhow, I do have an article about that, about how to hire a contractor, and it's just a kind of some tips and tricks about understanding the dynamics in the construction world, and what you should be looking for, and what questions you should be asking. And not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's a good fit for each other. I know we're not a good fit for a lot of people, and a lot of people aren't a good fit for us. But the ones that are a good fit, it's a very, very, the ones that we are a good fit. It's a very good situation for both the customer and for our company. So that is a real important aspect of this thing. You got to understand that we're going to be in a relationship, in a limited relationship, for about 2 months, and you got to be able to get along well and trust each other and all that stuff. See, a lot of you guys don't realize, but we as contractors have to trust you as the as our clients to pay us. You know, there's a lot of clients that don't pay. There's a lot of contractors that do flaky stuff and, you know, don't do good work and flake out and leave. So understanding this dynamic, the potential for, you know, something negative happening, but also focusing on being a good fit, finding a good fit, so that the outcome is good. It's a good outcome for both the contractor and the homeowner. Anyway, we're going to be posting some more update videos on what's happening with the city, what's happening in the world of software retrofit, and we're also going to be updating you on our project in Santa Monica. We've got another 3 projects coming online. The next project that we're going to go to construction on is going to be in San Pedro. That project's going to be crazy. We got to do some A, B, C excavation. For those of you who don't know, I'll explain it to you in one of the shows that we're going to do. So hey, by the way, every single Tuesday we do a construction real estate show on Facebook. You can follow us there at Facebook // Bay Cities Construction, and it's the construction show. We also post it after the fact. We post a show here on YouTube. Hey guys, please share the stream. If you have any comments, please post them below. If you have any questions, please post them below. If you want me to take a look at your software retrofit project and give you some feedback on it, send me some pictures to alex@baycitiesconstruction.com. And it's always a pleasure sharing some construction knowledge with you and helping you be more educated, making better decisions when dealing with construction projects. And I look forward to seeing you tonight at our show at 5:30 p.m. We shoot it live every Tuesday from Torrance. Our offices are in Torrance. And please be on the lookout for our software retrofit updates in Santa Monica. That's where I'm going right now. I'm going to shoot a little bit of video from the job site and share that with you. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have a productive day at work. And I look forward to talking to you and answering your questions. See ya.